Well, welcome back, y'all. Another super exciting episode of Life on the Ave. I believe this is episode 31, Pat? Yeah, 31. This is our 31st episode. I'm pretty jacked about it. Yeah, it's our 7th this year, so I'm pumped about that. Life on the Ave, continuing with our theme of local celebrities, Dell-lebrities. We have a good guest, friend, business partner, a guy who means a lot to both Mary Kate and myself, Mr. Robert Herrera, this week. Where to begin with Mr. Robert Herrera? What doesn't Rob do? Let's try to summarize here in a little bit. Rob specializes in envisioning new and revived uses of buildings, workspaces, apartments, gathering spots, and eating establishments. He is a believer that you don't always need to knock down and start over when strong foundations often already exist. That's nice.
Yeah.
You didn't write that, did you?
No, I had somebody help me with that.
That's a nice opening intro.
Yeah.
Rob has a background in architecture and graduated with both his bachelor's and master's degrees from NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology. How was that? Did you like NJIT?
It was a really good experience. It was not your typical college experience, but I wouldn't have changed things for the world. I think it kept me straight.
Nice.
It kept me out of partying. It was a good hard school.
Are there any other acronyms what did you guys call it? NJIT or what?
NJIT is the go-to.
So I had some buddies who played for New York Institute of Technology.
NYIT.
Yeah, that's called next year I'm transferring.
I like it.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
So after college, Rob took his talents to New York City for 7 years to work with Perkins and Eastman's and S9 Architects.
Yeah.
Here he honed his architectural skills, especially in the co-working space. Rob returned home and back to his Delaware roots in 2015 and founded The Mill co-working space in downtown Wilmington. The Mill is home to all types of businesses and entrepreneurs, ranging from programmers to lawyers, solopreneurs and established businesses, and kind of anything and everything in between. In 2018, Rob and some of his colleagues officially founded 9SDC, a development company that focuses on unifying and elevating communities. 9SDC specializes in multifamily, mixed-use, historic renovations, and ground-up construction. They are experts in utilizing federal and state historic tax credits and various grant programs. 9SDC's unique development strategy supports and encourages new businesses and entrepreneurship rather than leaving vacant storefronts. Rob is also currently a sitting member of the Delaware Prosperity Partnership Board of Directors. He is married to his incredible wife, Yurgita, who Mary Kate and I both had the absolute pleasure of working with, and currently father to Robert, Isabella, and Sophia. They live in Wilmington with a new puppy. Got a new puppy?
Yeah.
How old is he?
Baxter. He's 3 or 4 now.
Okay.
He's a little older. But he looks like a puppy still. He's a cool dog.
Love it. Awesome. So a litany of projects. Some of, if you guys are Delaware local people listening to this, you guys will be familiar with some of these spots. So the Mill, founder and architect, Maker's Alley, indoor-outdoor beer garden, gathering space, Gerard Craft and Cork, liquor store downtown, Fair Cafe, Blitzen, Theater N, just to name a few. And you're also a local Delaware guy, Cesar Rodney High School.
Yep.
As well, too. So
very proud of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Quite the intro there.
Yeah. That was a lot. Sometimes I rattle off things I've done before and it gives me anxiety just thinking about all the work that went into that. You know what I mean? There's a lot that goes into each one of those bullet points, but it's nice hearing again. Yeah,
there's a ton. So I guess what we'll start off with the most new and exciting is the Mill. So we have recently yet again expanded the Mill. What do we got going on there? What's the Mill for those people who don't know?
The Mill is all of 8 years old. I started it in April 1st because I remember it was April Fool's Day of 2016. So we're going on 8 years now. And we just opened 35,000 square feet. And it's really focusing on a different demographic I've never targeted before with this recent expansion. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing co-working for 15 years now. I've just been usually on the design side of laying out spaces. I get called a lot to consult for other co-working spaces. That became a business model of mine for years, where I do design work just for co-working spaces. But now I'm getting calls from bigger and bigger companies. I'm seeing the trend shift where larger established businesses that would never entertain co-working are now coming to our model. It's turnkey fit outs. It's a higher affluent demographic of businesses. And that's something I've never seen before. It's a post-pandemic thing. So this space that we did is specifically catering to larger businesses. It used to be all startups, which you still have, and we're going to double down on. And I think there's a great synergy there to have bigger companies come into the mill and interact with the smaller companies. I think that's when you see successful entrepreneurship too.
Yeah.
When you have all the same type of person together, you get a lot of the same results. But when you get this different demographic of people, and so I'm really excited for what that means long term for co-working.
Yeah, definitely. And I agree with that. We've talked, at length about this, just doing, and this is what I talk to our team about all the time. Like, hey, you need to have people above you that like you're chasing that can hopefully pull you up, and you also need to, pull up the next generation as well. Yeah. It makes the world go round. So yeah, what do you mean? Are you able to say like any of the company names, or like what do you mean like when you say like larger companies? So are they putting like what kind of people are they placing in these spots?
Yeah. So there's a few, like for instance, very large ones, publicly traded law firms. I can't say them just yet, that are coming into our space. And a law firm would never consider co-working. That's an example. And they're coming for a couple of reasons. One is that they don't want to demand their employees come into work and then their employees leave and go with a different law firm. So there's that. So they're trying to react to this spatial changes to the office market in general themselves.
Correct.
They don't want to renew their lease for 10 years, which is the norm for commercial office space, right?
Yeah.
So, and then they got to hit the mark right now with their perfect layout. So we allow flexible lease structures, right? So term is flexible with us. Obviously, you pay a premium for a shorter term. So we're getting these big companies that want that, and they also see the mill. So there's the added benefit of not just they're trying to hold over and figure out what happens with the office world. It's also a way to attract employees into the office without forcing them. Put them in a cool, heavily amenitized environment, and hopefully we do our job and bring hospitality to the office industry, which is a new kind of thing that we're starting to see.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
So if our team does a great enough job, they don't want to go anywhere. So my job now, after we get these larger tenants, is to keep them. And I think I like that. I like the transient nature of it because it makes us have to step up our game.
Yeah. And it always, like, it is just wild to think, how old are you now? You're in your...
I had to think from everything on the spot. I should know that off. I am now 38.
38
years old.
Gotcha.
Yeah. You put me on the spot. I actually forget all the time.
Yeah. So since you were 23, you've been in the co-working space, and like I tell these guys all the time, hey, every real estate transaction, you're going to learn something new. So
for sure.
Year 15 of co-working looks completely different than what year 1 did.
I remember the early days of it, and the early days of co-working were big open offices like this, but it's a transient crowd in there. So it's kind of weird when you're hearing somebody on the phone, and there's always that guy's really loud on the phone, right? And in a co-working space that became unacceptable. So I remember when we started introducing glass into the co-working model when I was working at Perkins Eastman, and that was a big innovation at the time, right? Like glass office suites, right? Now it sounds silly to do. I remember when we introduced phone booths, and that was kind of like
now it's standard.
Now it's like everybody's got phone booths. Now podcast suites. Now a lot of this stuff's coming about, but we were doing that 15 years ago, and it was like cool and new age. But now even regular offices do that.
Yeah. And like I always see it like just looking back on like Mary Kate's career, like these larger companies, like they wouldn't necessarily have like a real estate person, and like it's just it's such a massive decision. Yeah. So to be able to kind of like take that weight off of a larger company,
correct. Yeah, doing the fit out sucks.
It's huge. Yeah, fit outs are not fun.
No, they're getting hard. Again, all the different worlds are kind of pushing people to co-working. In that, like, to exactly your point, fit outs were always hard. Yeah, they've gotten exponentially harder post pandemic. One with workforce issues, which is we don't need to get into today, but two with supply chain issues. Yeah, and for HR head, which generally gets stuck with the fit out of the new space, to go deal with a big fit out, they don't want to deal with it. No. So I think turnkey, heavily amenity spaces that co-working offers is the future.
Yeah, definitely.
And let us worry about those trends.
Yes. Yeah. Let you guys worry about that. You guys can stay what you're doing, practicing law, attracting new lawyers, bringing in cases and that stuff. You don't need to be worried about, what tiles going in the bathroom.
Right. And that's it's a
what
lot
beer's
of
on tap.
It sounds cool to pick out tile and stuff, but it's actually a lot of work. And then you can't get that tile, and then you got to switch, and then you got to pivot every 5 steps. And I've helped big companies do fit outs from the DuPont company all the way through since I've moved to town. And it's hard, even for these big established businesses. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Now, one question I definitely want to dive into is like your fit out of, the fourth down to the third. We went down to the third. I haven't seen it yet in person. I couldn't make it last week to the grand opening. But looking forward to getting down there. So what is that like? Super old, big building being like, all right, we're going to put a staircase and it's going to pop out right here.
The staircase was the biggest challenge. One thing that, the building, the Nemours building was built for the DuPont company. It was actually originally built, I like this fun fact and I'll pivot for a second, for the DuPont car that was going to be like, I think the DuPont Flyer is what it was called. So it was going to be the headquarters of the DuPont car company.
Nice.
But, and then it pivoted because they ended up investing, I think, in GM and pulled the plug on it. But anyway, they overbuilt everything. So like the size steel in the building, oversized. The size of a concrete encasing that steel to fireproof it, oversized. The size of the pipes that ran it was a really new age HVAC system at the time. Now it's really outdated, obviously. Oversized. So like dealing with all those. So to put the staircase in, we're cutting through like 8 to 10 inches of concrete, and it was an ordeal. And I tried to do that without disturbing our existing members. It was tough, but that staircase was really important to have that continuity between members. I didn't want to have people go in the elevator. I wanted connections to be easy.
Yeah, it definitely is. And like just the design elements, like there's like when we first moved in this space, we were working back here and I was like, no, Mary Kate, like we need to be up front. Like that's where we need to be. People need to see us sort of deal. So like even, small things like that just in our space, like they make a massive difference in, just the overall vibe and the flow. Like if you had to leave the space and use the elevators, like no continuity. Yeah. And I think in today's day and age, we're definitely looking for more and more, continuity. So
for sure.
Anything else on the mill third floor expansion you want to talk about?
No, other than I think every project, there's a theme and a concept that drives all my decisions from there. And the theme and the concept was to attract these larger, more established businesses. So you'll also, and I hope you tour it soon, you'll see the finished quality is wildly different between the two of like, I'm trying to get the bigger established companies, just a different tone and feel for the space.
What you did back in the day being 2016 was definitely sexy.
It was nothing to scoff at. I still work on that floor and I think I will continue to. I really like it. And there's so many memories of every phase of expansion. So I like that floor.
We're not going to move the 9th Street office again?
No. I've moved for those of you who don't know, I've moved my office, no exaggeration, 12 times. There's one year we lost my folder where I always keep my tax info because I'm just always moving because I would lease whatever space. I would fix up the space that I would move into, make it look good, and then somebody would want to lease it. And that's the curse of being the real estate professional.
Correct.
You kick yourself out. But we're not doing that. I just can't. My world's a lot different these days, and I can't handle that disruption anymore like I used to be able to deal with.
That's awesome. Super excited that you guys are staying put in one solid spot. We're staying in one spot. Because I was going to, where are you guys
We're
at
still
today?
in the middle. And one other point to that, though, we had a big debate about building our own office with 9th Street Development Company, and we wholeheartedly decided to stay in the mill. And I do attribute so much of our success and growth because I'm around 300 to 400 other entrepreneurs and businesses, and I've learned so much from just absorbing all that. And I really am grateful, and I don't want to go anywhere. So we will stay.
And I'll echo those sentiments. I did a nice little stay of working at the mill in 2018 for a handful of months, and like just the vibe and the energy, like the charisma, the people. You guys do a fantastic job of promoting events for your members, for the community, hosting events for various politicians, comedians. The comedy show that we did at Theater M was great. So just a whole bunch going on.
And it makes you excited to come into the office. I don't think if I had my own, just I love my team, but if we just had our own office and own vibe, there's a monotony to that. But every day I'm excited to come in because you don't know what you're going to run into, what's going to happen. It's pretty cool.
I do like that. Like, hey,
keeps you stimulated.
What does today hold? Today held W. Not PD, but Wilmington Parking Department. Said, hey, we're going to put a boot on you.
I thought it was a holiday, so I parked in what Vince is referring to. I parked in a bad spot and got booted, and I thought, you gotta love Wilmington Parking. They're on top of it. If they run such a tight ship there, I want all of city and state government to be as well run as their ticketing department.
The ticketing department is legit.
They do not slip up.
Here, they do not slip up. If you park out in front of our office during street cleaning, done. Yeah, that's a $40 ticket.
Yeah. I should know better
$30 if
by
you
now.
pay right away. But 40.
Yeah.
They clean up there. So also with the mill, we have a couple other locations. One in North Wilmington, and then are we opening one up in Seaford? Can we talk about that?
Yeah, we are.
Cool.
Yeah,
Awesome. So how is that like North Wilmington? Like Wilmington as a whole, I would say, it's not totally different from other places. We have a city portion and a suburb portion.
Yeah.
So we're kind of, how do you balance both markets?
They're definitely different markets. It's just a different demographic. So we get a lot of companies that want to be in downtown Wilmington. I mentioned the law firms, but a lot of other companies that want to be in downtown and be walkable. And I think that that's a trend that fits any city. And that in downtown Wilmington, I think you could pick up our layout there and move it to any other mid-sized city in America, and it would do pretty well just in terms of like predicting what people want, right? The suburban markets, you got to be a little bit more nuanced, and particularly in this day and age, like our Concord location, our Seaford location, we're really targeting remote workers, right? It's a little bit different. So it's a little bit cozier feel than the corporate feel of like the third floor I just mentioned. I wouldn't call it corporate. I would never call anything the mill does corporate per se. But
no, we're against the establishment.
Exactly.
We're creating the new establishment.
We have those undertones of like being a relaxed environment, even in the more, let's say, refined fit out of the third floor. But these other locations, I'm very intentionally targeting the remote work market. So that's smaller size offices at a cost-effective price, little softer finishes here and there. Every little detail needs to exude that like this is a better place to work than your home office. And I really see like Silverside Road location in North Wilmington and Seaford. My competition there's no other competition, is your home office. Yeah. That's who I'm competing with. I got to beat that.
Yeah.
And I got to make it more comfortable than that in many ways, more relaxed than your home office, but also more productive, which I think we're good on that front compared to a home office.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there is like, that was just such a, a crazy time this, last 4 years coming out of it.
Right.
With that, like, because we did a brief period where, we had some masking and stuff going on in our office. Yeah. And I was like, guys, I got 2 big renovation projects going on. Like, we're just going to work out of my house. Yeah. And like, we did that for a little while, and I was like, we got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. Yeah. Thank God this space became available.
It's beautiful.
But yeah, like if this space didn't come available, Mary Kate and I were looking at leases in the area or like reconsidering like a mill option. And like it is funny in a sense to like hear you say like, your competition isn't necessarily someone else. It's like, hey, my own home office. So like what would make me, want to get out of my office
and want to come in.
Yeah.
And it's those amenities, it's productivity levels. You got to get the acoustics right now. People are a lot less forgiving because they can go home to their home office. So I got to keep that in mind. And I do think the next tier that we're going to go to, which we haven't fully done yet, is overlaying a hospitality approach to office space. Co-working's never quite been that. It's been like funky kids come show up and solopreneurs just show up and work. I think now we need to overlay a hospitality component in a big way.
What do you mean by that? Like,
think about your processes. You check into a hotel. What does that feel like? I think the mill needs to feel like that.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by that. And it's hard to put all the
like
details
fresh baked cookies like out front. Yeah.
Maybe so. We actually did talk to entrepreneurs that make their own chocolate. Okay. And all people who tour now, we give them like locally made chocolate. And
nice.
Things like that.
That's a good touch.
That's one little touch, but that's surface level. I think there's a lot more. There's a psychology change that comes from. Stepping back 5 steps, the real estate industry has always been traditionally have the best location. Generally, the wealthy real estate developers buy the best locations, right? I think that world's changing because you can work remote now. You can be wherever. And so it was, I have the best location. You're going to pay me a fortune for it. You're going to pay me to fit it out. And you're going to sign a long-term lease. So then I can go refi that and make a fortune, right? But like, I think that world's changing. Okay. Slowly but surely in the office market in particular. It won't be as drastic as I think the banking industry makes the office market seem, but there will be a shift in cultures. And I think people need to kind of earn their office users to come in. I think you got to earn it now. You got to work for it.
Yes.
And so I want to be on the cutting edge of that psychology shift of like at the mill, we're grateful for you to be here. It's not just that we're grateful. Like we're going to go above and beyond for you. We're going to do those little touches. And that's like any great hotel you've been to, or even restaurant for that matter, they go above and beyond to make you feel like you're a part of something and they want you to be there. And I think that's a big shift that I want my staff to do.
Yeah, definitely. And like, I'm reading a book right now, Raving Fans, and like just having a satisfied customer
It's nothing better.
Yeah. But having a satisfied customer is like kind of like the bare minimum. Like we want a raving fan to, be like, you got to work here. You got to do this.
There's no reason not to. It doesn't cost you anything to go one step a little bit further.
Yeah. And I'm thinking back, Mary Kay and I went to a gorgeous wedding this past fall, the Carolina Inn at UNC Chapel Hill.
Nice.
Like right on campus. Warm cookies every night. It was raining. Hey, here's your courtesy umbrella. Like, bring it back when you're done. Like, just nice little touches like that. It does, just make it super, super duper nice.
Right.
That is the hospitality.
When you run a business, there's no reason not to. And I think I'll charge myself. We need to do better across the board on outside of just office space, and that's something I tend to do in the coming years.
Yeah, and I think like you've seen it like in our business, like little things, pie drop offs, cookie drop offs.
That's huge. I love the pies.
Just a small little touch throughout the year. Definitely helps. So one thing I'm excited. Share what you can share, but super grateful. Super excited to be a part of it. Seaford. So what do we got going on in Seaford?
Yeah, Seaford.
They love you down there.
I love Seaford. No, I really do. Well, to that point that you said they love you, they love us down there. My whole team. I think walking back, I could talk about Seaford for a while. Yeah. There's not very many places in the Northeast where people actually want you to do real estate development. The NIMBYism is a real thing.
For those of you in NIMBY, not in my own backyard.
Not in my backyard, yeah. And it's a real thing in these affluent communities in the United States, and it's hard for young, let's call them millennials and younger, to find housing and stuff. Starting there, that's one issue because nobody wants it. Although those trends are shifting, those winds are shifting. But NIMBY is a real thing. But Seaford is really welcoming and pro-development, and they've been great to work with. And the feedback we get, it's not just like angry, like do this or else. It's really thoughtful feedback. Even when it has been negative about some of the work that we're doing there, which hasn't been much, it's thoughtful. Yeah. And that's what I want. Like, that's all. I want a real conversation where I've experienced other NIMBYism where they're just like they're just irrational. And like, where do I go with that feedback? And we get a lot of that on a lot of projects. But anyway, talking more about Seaford. We're redeveloping the Nylon Capital Shopping Center. It's all of 22 acres. And to me, when I first looked at the site, it was a suburban shopping center, which is what it is. But and there's historically failed shopping centers all over the United States. They tend to have a 60-year lifespan if you look at them. 60 years. Okay. So from when you first build them and develop them, there was a big car craze that and it's unique to America. That shopping center setup is not done anywhere else in the world. I
haven't really traveled the world too much.
They're out there and people have copied us, but it's a unique thing that came about with our culture with these big shopping centers. And that's what I interpreted, like, oh, it's a failed shopping center. We'll just redevelop it into something that's not a failed shopping center. But it's been much more than that to this community. So to talk a little about Seaford, DuPont chose Seaford as to build the nylon plant, completely transformed the small community overnight. Before they showed up in the late 1930s, don't quote me on that. But it was oyster canning and shucking was like their industry. That was it. Yeah. And then the nylon plant showed up, and they were this thriving, bustling, really dynamic young town, affluent.
Built a golf course.
They built it. Yeah,
it's super nice. Hooper's Landing. It's super nice.
It's cool, right?
Yeah.
So imagine that was built just for the DuPont employees around the plant. Yeah. So it like wraps around the plant.
It's pretty cool routing, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how like people say like Google does all these amenities, and that was a trend for like companies to do this for their staff. Like DuPont's been doing that for 100 years. Like they were building all these amenities for their community. And our site was, I believe it was instigated by the Carpenter family, but it was bringing Peebles, Woolworths, and a few other major brands to this town to really make their community managers happy to be there. Yep. And it became the central hub for all of Western Sussex, but also all of the Delmarva Peninsula would shop there. It was one of the largest shopping centers of its time. And it was really vibrant, really dynamic. And I say all that is because everybody who's lived there remembers what it was like to buy their shoes there. We had a friend of mine, one of these legislators, Danny Short, met his wife there. And like we heard all these stories about that. The former mayor, Mr. Butler, who just passed away recently, unfortunately, ran a sewing shop up until when he passed away at the shop. And it just meant so much to this community.
Yeah.
And to have it now 85% vacant, dilapidated, and falling down is really heartbreaking.
Yes.
And so our hope is to re-energize it. And I always say this, and I say this about Wilmington and any city. Cities live and die with perception. Mm-hmm. And what gets me really excited about the Nylon Capital project is that we're working really hard to shift that perception.
Yeah.
And I can feel the excitement of the locals, right? We're building, one of the very first city council meetings I did, this woman presented how important it would be to have a pickleball court. Yeah. And she had one of those, science project flap out. And she presented, she got
trifold. She had a big trifold. Yeah,
I was there to present that we recently acquired the property, and the community was excited about it. So the place was packed. Yeah. And she got to go on before me, and she's like, I want to cater this to Mr. Herrera, who's going to go next. And she like opened the trifold of pickleball courts. And I'm proud to say we're building pickleball courts.
Nice.
Like
love that.
Like I had never played myself. I bought my kids pickleball stuff over the holidays just so I can say as I build them that I know what I'm doing.
And we're huge pickleballers in here, so I'm jacked now. Yeah, I didn't even know that was going on.
I played a few times with my son. My son got really good at it. We played again, I mentioned over the holidays, so I'm new. Nice. But I'd see the appeal. Fun. I get it. And I like it. It touches all. We got hustled by these little old ladies on the pickleball courts over here.
Big time.
My son and I got worked over.
It happens to all of us. Yeah.
But no, so the Nylon Capital Center, as we're calling it now, I'm really excited because it's an opportunity to do what we love to do. Yeah. We're supported by both state and local municipalities, and the Governor Carney's been really supportive. Mayor David Genshaw, wildly supportive.
He loves you. Yeah, the mayor's the man.
Yeah.
Mayor Seifert's awesome.
He's a man of faith. He is very straightforward in how he communicates. And we've developed, I dare say, a really good friendship over the years. We get to know each other. Nice. And that's rare when you do development projects. Because a lot of times you're on opposite ends of what everyone wants. But he's been phenomenal to work with. That's the only way I can describe it. And he's given us the space when we need it, but also, pushed us when we need to be pushed. Yeah. So it's been a pleasure working with him. It's been one of the great honors of my life, working with their whole community, let alone just Mayor Genshaw.
Yeah. And so to clarify, my involvement in the project is there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in Seaford. It's a huge ordeal. I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like a $60 million investment.
Correct.
Yeah. So part of that is a public-private partnership that we have. Tri-State Community Partners. So we're in the process of working with Dave Vernier and the rest of our board. We're working on building a new playground in Seaford, so giving back to the community.
Playground's called the Jay's Nest.
The Jay's Nest.
Really important playground to the community. Yeah. And it's one thing that we're trying to bring to the table, along with many other little cool projects.
Yeah. Yeah, and just being down there on the announcement day, having the governor present, and everyone there, was freezing cold day in December a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
absolutely frigid, but hundreds of people were out there, and I didn't see one negative Nancy at all. Which you come to any of these other civic association meetings, there's a whole pitchfork crew. But everybody here was just so excited. Yeah, and it is wild to just it's a massive property. 22 acres is big. Yeah. And just driving around,
it's all asphalt too, so it feels bigger because it's so expansive.
It literally is a concrete jungle. Yeah. And so I'm super excited to see it. Tease you guys with, we have a couple big anchor tenants there coming in. So we'll have a university component, a medical component, a mill component.
We can say medical. We just announced 2 weeks ago that Tidal Health's coming in 28,000 square feet.
It's awesome.
Huge anchor tenant. Been a great part of the community for years now, and we're really excited for that announcement.
Yeah. I've been going back and forth with Dave a little bit. We have a couple anchor tenants being a little thorn in the side. I think Rite Aid's one, Dollar Tree's one. Dollar Tree's we're not going, we're staying.
Yeah. We've had some some of those little small battles, but we've worked through all of them. Rite Aid, we were excited because they had just renewed a lease with us worth a significant amount of money. And then with our luck, we're like, wow, we actually had an easy win for once. So this is a hard project. And then they filed for Chapter 11 like 2 weeks after that. But it's all part of it, we'll work through that. And they have recommitted recently that they're going to stay at our site, which means a lot to us. And hopefully coming out of their Chapter 11, I've learned a lot about every time something like this happens to me personally, I take an opportunity to learn about it. And I read a lot about the Chapter 11 process. And one thing about Chapter 11, it's unique to America. Okay. We kind of believe in second chances.
Nice.
For these kind of companies. And I'm usually, when done well, they come out swinging. So I'm actually optimistic that Rite Aid will be a stronger company coming out of it, and we'll have a good anchor tenant then.
That's amazing.
Another tenant,
Yeah, that is amazing. Yeah, so I love when like the notes kind of match up. So we kind of like worked our way back there a little bit. So obviously we have a little bit of a real estate background. Delaware wise, we have projects going on, Seaford, Wilmington, Newcastle, kind of, have our hand in a lot. We do some consulting in the Newark area, and kind of all over. Cut your teeth a little bit in New York City and what was it, Hoboken or Jersey City?
I lived in Jersey City. I worked in Manhattan. Yeah, because I couldn't afford to live in Manhattan.
It happens.
I lived in an attic in Bayonne at first when I got my first job. It was $650 a month in that area, which is saying something, and it looked like it was an attic.
Yeah.
It was an hour and 15-minute door-to-door commute.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, so kind of just turning it back towards real estate a little bit, and just real estate entrepreneurship in general. It's most definitely a long game. Like the Seaford project has been years in the making. The mill, we're going on year 8 of the mill now. So like, how do you stay like positive and motivated? Like what kind of like drives you to keep on keeping on?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I have a lot of motivations in life, but those of you, and I say you and others who kind of know me, know that I'm really passionate about what I do. Motivating me is I've been blessed with never needing too much motivation. Because I really actually genuinely enjoy what I do. Like, I love art. I love the design aspect. I love every phase of a project, all the way up to the ribbon cutting, to even afterwards and working with tenants. And I think I've been blessed to be to find what I like doing, and kind of found my own way. Architecture was always my passion in life. Design, I never thought I would be on the real estate development side and an entrepreneur and a small business owner. Never thought that was me growing up. I always thought I was going to be an architect, like since I was a little kid. But I've gone this weird journey where I'm still approach a problem like an architect. And that motivates me because I think through problems visually. I think through layouts. I think through concepts that I can drive through every aspect of it. So now I just call myself an architect that gets to touch every piece that most architects always wanted to do anyway. And I get to continue to do that. And that to your question, that keeps me motivated because I actually really enjoy those challenges. And I actually love working through layouts and finishes and pro formas with my team. It's just fun for me. So I actually enjoy coming to work. It's not a grind. A lot of people describe it as a grind. There's aspects of the job that I can't stand. Like HR and over management issues and things like that. But actually the work itself, I really love.
For that stuff you don't like doing, the Rob Herrera, he gave me this advice. I give it to these advice. Just write down everything you do, and the stuff you don't do, you just find someone else to do it.
You hire for it. You fill it.
I changed my life.
I forgot to give you that advice, but there you go. But you should list out the aspects that you really enjoy, and you'll always excel at them. And so I've been fortunate to kind of build my life that way, where I'm really spoiled. And I realized how privileged I am because I've done a lot of the grunt work on the other side.
Correct.
Where I just do what I love doing now.
Correct. And that was kind of funny. You're talking about, all the things architects wanted to do. It's like the rappers always want to be ball players. The ball players want to be the rappers. But, you're kind of getting the best of both worlds there. And it's great because most architects don't get famous until after they pass. So
that's true. That's very true. Frank Lloyd Wright, I think, did Falling Water when he was in his late 60s, like his most famous building. And that's been the case for many other architects throughout history. That
is funny. So, anything else you want to touch on, real estate wise? Like, is there a specific project in mind that you're like, I'm most proud of that one? Or like, one that was a thorn in your side, that you're like, I'm glad I got through that one? Like, we have some listings right now on our team, and I'm just like, is this thing ever going to sell? Oh my God, yeah.
I certainly have those.
Yeah.
I certainly have ones that were really painful. I have projects that I've worked on that I didn't want to walk into the door ever again, given either I knew I could have done better, I was really frustrated with the process, it didn't go the way I wanted it to go, and I feel it hurts me, it sits with me, and I think of those more than the wins.
Yes.
I think it's a typical human trait where I think of the things that I did wrong and they consume me.
Yep.
And I certainly have those. I don't know if I want to list them all right now. I don't know if I want to rat them out. I'll talk holistically. And funny enough, I don't do enough of the ones that really, I loved every aspect of it. It went well. It was a win, because I'm as you know, I'm on to the next thing.
Yeah.
But every once in a while I get held to account to think about those, and I either get emotional or I'm excited to think about them.
Nice.
But so I have both. I don't know if I want to rattle them all off.
No, all good. All good. If you could speak to a moment, I guess a little Delaware PSA, maybe Wilmington more specifically, but if I'm a business owner, why should I be looking to do business in Wilmington, Delaware, or just Delaware as a whole? What excites you about Wilmington? And just Delaware in general. Why should people be considering Delaware?
That's a great question. It's something that I'm obsessed with. And I've had a front row seat with Delaware Prosperity Partnership, who've been a pleasure of my life learning the economic development side of a state and how they function, who we compete with and who we don't compete with. But Delaware is unique, and it was only a matter of time until we get found out. And I think we're getting found out now, right?
Correct.
The cost of living here, albeit it spiked post-pandemic, as it did everywhere.
Yeah.
That's not unique to Delaware. One of the problems with Delawareans, I'll touch on that before I talk about how much I love Delaware.
Okay.
Is that we have this second
terrible drivers.
Terrible drivers. No, wait, go to Massachusetts. And I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. I'm joking. No, I love you, Massachusetts. No, I think we have the second best syndrome. Mm-hmm. That was as soon as I started the mill, everybody's like, why are you doing it here? What do you think? And I was blown away with how many people from Wilmington went out of their way to tell me my business would never work in Wilmington. And I'm like, there's this weird second best mentality that just permeates every aspect of Delaware. Mm-hmm. And I just never understood it. And I've also ignored that. And I think it's been good for my career to ignore that. I've never looked at Wilmington as second best, never looked at Delaware as second best. I think we're a phenomenal state with a phenomenal history we should be proud of. Yeah. And the cost of living here is good. We've got, there's so many small cities in America that would kill for our legal job base, that would kill for our banking industry. Yeah. And we don't stop in the state. We get 20 to 30% of our taxes from elsewhere. Yeah. And then we still get mad about taxes for some reason. Our property taxes here are cute. Yeah. You know what I mean?
They really are.
I don't know how you run a city or a fire department without taxing, and people get upset about property tax. I'm I'm cool with our property tax bill. This is awesome. They're low. I say that now. As I get older, I'll probably get grumpier about it. But
only natural. It's only natural.
But I love Delaware. Cost of doing business is great, and you can get to everybody says this, but you can get to Baltimore or DC, Philly in 15, 20 minutes, and New York City. I worked in New York for my first 2 years after I moved back to Delaware.
I remember that.
And I would live on the Amtrak. Yeah, we knew you guys at that time.
Yeah, I thought you guys were crazy. It was like you just had twins, so you have another kid.
I would ride my bike. I'd ride my bike to because I didn't want to park my car there. I was broke too, so I'd ride my bike from my house where I live now to the Amtrak station and take the Amtrak in. And I would catch the 4:50 a.m. Amtrak train to New York City.
Like $250 round trip.
Yeah, I would buy the 10 pass. And my company would reimburse it, so thank you to them. I couldn't afford it otherwise, but yeah, I had. It costs a lot of money, but I'd buy the 10 trippers. Or I got them when I was really busy. They bought me the monthly pass, which felt really privileged. Nice, because I could take the Excel every once in a while.
Nice,
I felt fancy.
Love that. I still need to take the train. Yeah, haven't done it yet. But last 5 to 10 minutes here. One thing I didn't get to hop into. That you just touched on and brought up. So the DPP, Delaware Prosperity Partnership. What is your role in that? What is the DPP? What do you guys do for the state?
I'm on the board there, and I chair one of the committees. It's this public-private partnership It used to be there was an economic development arm for the state of Delaware, and now they tried out this public-private partnership model where they took some legislators, and our board consists, I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but half our board makeup is legislators who legislate in Dover, and the other half are private business owners and leaders in the state of Delaware. I would say I feel really honored to be on that board because it's like presidents of the local banks and there's a lot of presidents of the largest law firms in the state are on the board.
A lot of big dogs.
And then me, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Like no pressure, because when I do my like committee updates, I'm like, wow, these people like present to their huge companies and like, they're very polished. So it's been good where I've had to like step up my game a little
I always
bit.
crack up like just seeing like exactly what we were talking about earlier before we started. Like, this is what I'm wearing. Hey, we're at work today. Sort of deal. And sometimes we'll get some mortgage lenders who still throw the suit on every day. Every day. And I'm like, my brother wears a suit, but he's a funeral director. Like he should. You guys can dress it down a little bit, guys.
I make a point of wearing like a jacket to the board DPP board meeting, which is funny. Or else I'd stick out.
You get shamed into it. You're like, here we go.
No, but I learned a lot about economic development. I think they've done a great job, and I think having that, what I call just another voice in the mix, to let the sort of private businesses sort of give their 2 cents on how the state should be doing economic development. I think it's been a net positive, and I think there's been some big wins with DPP, and I like every chance I get to learn and grow, and it's just been really fascinating to learn how economic development works. Like working with site selectors that make these decisions, and work on projects like Ready in 6 has been a big one that came out of, I think, the Delaware Business Roundtable, or it came from somewhere else, but DPP sort of embraced that and like getting sites ready in 6 months. That's what site selectors want to see now, because we're competing with other states that are finding ways to
sites
build faster.
Build what? Like big like warehouse centers or like
anything?
Anything.
Ready in 6 months. When site selector is not your normal real estate, they do these massive big corporate moves. It could be moving a bank, it could be moving, and they're big deals. And they take all kinds of incentives and dollars. Think Bougie in Middletown, that was done by a site selection team. Huge RFP processes. States, governors are all part of it. These are the big fish deals. And we were getting feedback from site selectors, and DPP reacted to it and started working on these programmings. And now we're in the conversation with site selectors that we would overlook Delaware constantly. And I'm really excited with the work they've done, and I've been excited to be a part of it.
Yeah. And to just hint at, you definitely talked about it. Like, I think Delaware is getting found out a little bit. I tell people the same thing. Like, hey, I think we're one of the last affordable, nice cities on the East Coast. Boston, New York, DC, Philadelphia, it's pricey to live there.
Right.
Yeah, you can be, in either of those places. So I'm definitely excited for Delaware as a whole. So anything else you want to touch on DPP wise?
No, I just think the future's bright. I think as long as we keep on this long-term trajectory of doing the right thing to attract businesses and make it better, and to attract businesses means the lifestyle needs to be great here, and the lifestyle is great.
Yes.
So as long as we keep methodically working in the right direction, I think we're in a great place.
You do a good job making the lifestyle great. Blitzing's awesome. Other fun stuff that we got going on. So
I've been blessed to be able to work on projects like that.
Love that. So wrapping up here, definitely appreciate all the time. So one funny thing we were talking about, you are a father of 3. The priorities have changed a little bit.
Big time,
we got all these projects going on, but at the top of the priority list is we're trying to win the 10-year-old soccer championship. How do you like balance it all?
Finding that balance has been something I've had to work on actively, because I am a workaholic. I love what I do, and I go down rabbit holes, for those who know me, and I'll look up and I'm like, oh, it's 10 p.m. And I've got
where the time get
right. And I've changed my life around it, because the one thing I
also need to be up in 4 hours to go somewhere else.
Kids get up earlier. I'm on the road early, but I found a really good, and a lot goes to my wife Yogita, who's by far my, people say better half, but like, for those of you met me through Yogita. She's definitely my better half. Like she's definitely the better person of the two.
We both outkicked our coverage.
Outkicked our coverage big time.
We like to think we're the catches, but no, they're the real catches.
They're the real catches, but she's done a great job to put my life in balance, and I owe her the world for that. And so, like, my biggest project now are 3 beautiful children, and I'm happy to be a part of their soccer. We were in soccer tournaments all weekend,
Nice.
and I'm afforded the ability to be there. It means a lot to me, and be a part of it too. And like I was refereeing all weekend long.
Love
I
that.
volunteered in there. Got screamed at by a few parents, but no big deal.
It just comes with the territory.
It's for my kids. It's for my kids.
Comes with the territory.
Yeah. No, I love it. I'm really happy. I mean, just one other point on that. My kids are 8 and 10. My son just turned 11 actually, and this is my favorite phase. I always think this is the favorite phase, and then it happens again. Like, and you're really young ones, and they're great.
Yes.
Your kids are really amazing. But like, as a dad, this phase, I just don't. I don't want to let go of it. So I try to keep that in check and get as much time with them as possible.
You're a little nervous. Your son's almost looking you in the eye.
Yeah,
He's getting big.
It's that like, I'm the biggest Mexican you've ever seen, and it's a little bit of that genes mixed with Lithuanian. So he's got Lithuanian genes in him.
He's
so
a big boy.
He's a big kid. He's very tall. He just, every time I turn around, he's like shooting up another few inches. Yeah,
Every time I see him, I'm like, dude, you grew a foot.
He's a big kid. Yeah,
you grew a foot.
Yeah.
Awesome. Last 2 questions here. So, how do you stay like informed, educated? Are you a reader, audiobooks, or like you just have so much knowledge, so many emails come through? Like how?
I think it's all the above.
Yeah.
I'm blessed, I think, to get into the mill to be around really interesting people. And that helps. So nothing gets in your brain faster than a conversation like we're having now.
Yeah.
So that just works faster, right? But if you really want to learn things in detail, I'll go down book rabbit holes. If I'm really passionate about something, I am a reader. I'm very careful and curated with what I choose to read and how, because it's like, again, very specific things that you want to go down a rabbit hole and I'll read about. And then I like the audiobooks too, especially now because I'm in the car so much to Seaford. So I don't want to waste that time in the car. I'm either on the phone or listening to something, because I feel like that's just wasted time otherwise, right?
What do you have, a Tundra?
What's a Tundra?
Your truck?
Chevy Silverado.
Silverado.
Very proud of that truck. I love
Chevy
that truck.
Silverado University. I tell people I went to Honda Accord University. You throw the audiobook on. 45-minute drive.
It's huge. It's huge. And so I do that, but I kind of curate it all. But I would say the number one thing is I'm blessed. And this is not just a shameless plug with the mill. Like, I'm around really interesting, successful people. And they're on my front doorstep, and I get to talk to them every day. And you absorb so much quick information when it comes to running businesses from that. But also just interesting stories. And I've made it a goal of mine to just always be surrounded by really talented people, and that's where I learn the most.
Love that. Yeah, I read a good book one time, and it was a book on negotiation, and it talked about, hey, you got to travel great distances to see people in person, because you just break down the walls of communication.
Dude,
so you can tell me so no much over email and phone call, very easy, but say it to my face, it's a different deal.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally different.
Yeah. So I didn't know you were 38. Yeah. I thought you were a little bit older. So congrats to you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. But you are so young, 15 years in the co-working space, entrepreneurial real estate. Last question here. Where do you see yourself 5, 10, next 15 years of Robert Herrera? 53.
53, yeah. I don't know. I think that I really want to keep doing the same thing that I'm doing. Over the next 5 to 10 years, where I want to be seen is on my kids' fields. Like that's quickly becoming the priority of my life. It already was, but even more so now. I think I've worked hard to get in a position where I can spend more time with my children. And I want to capitalize on that. So that's step one. But I don't think I'll ever stop working. I told that my wife's kind of accepted that there will be no retirement in my life.
Love that.
It's just not interesting to me. Right. And if you're not growing, you're dying. And then I'll translate that to answer your question, is that the only thing I don't know, and I kind of don't want to know where I'm going to be in 15 years, but I hope whatever it is, I continue on this path of growth. Love that. That's just how my mind works. I need to do new things. I need to try out new stuff. And if I get stagnant, I personally won't be happy. So I hope I don't know where I am at in 15 years. I'll put it that, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah, that is a little crazy.
Yeah, I know. But I like, as long as it's on the path of growth, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I like how you phrase that. And one thing that we share in common is, like, because I tell people, hey, I've been doing this 8 years. I don't think I could do anything else. I'm just not employable by anybody else. So.
Yeah, well, that's I had that problem too.
I answer to 2 people. It's my wife and myself in the mirror every day.
And I am very much that same way. Like I can't. I think I'm beyond the point of being employable. Although I think late in age, I would like to teach architecture as much as I don't practice architecture every day. That's something I want to do someday, not in 15 years, probably like 30, 40 years out. But again, because I'll never retire. But I do think that I am committed to going, if I have the health and well-being, to I'm at a period of trying to build wealth and success for my family. I am looking forward to the period of giving back to the community when I'm older and teaching. I was blessed with so many wonderful mentors. I want to hit that hard, that like, it wasn't just like you're Robert some fun. I just got over a couple of circumstances of being in the right place at the right time, had wonderful mentors from Siddle Patel and even the Buccinis to a degree. And I had this guy, wonderful teacher, Duncan Reed, that just went above and beyond what was expected of them to steer my career and teach me things. And I want to go and do that when I'm older, because I feel like I owe it. I feel like I feel like I need to do that.
That's what we started off the podcast with. You know, you got to push pull, right? Yeah. You got to bring that next generation up.
So that's beyond the 15-year mark. I think that'll be a while out.
All right, so we got 30 to 40 figured out. What happens between now and then?
We'll see.
Yeah. We'll see. Well, Rob, thank you very much for the time today, sir.
Yeah.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in. This was Life on the Ave, Mr. Robert Herrera. This was great. This was great.
Fun.
So, thank you very much. Love y'all. Peace out.